In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really nice Christmas sleigh out of a dollar bill. At the end of the video, I'm also going to demonstrate how you can put a really nice hitch on the front of your sleigh so you can attach it to other things. So let's get started. Start with your dollar bill. The author suggests that you start with George's side facing up. Go ahead and fold your dollar in half lengthwise. And open that up. And then you're going to fold the top and bottom edges in towards the center, creating fourth creases. And go ahead and open that up as well. Then what we're going to do is put a water bomb base on one of the sides. Go ahead and fold this edge to this edge, creating a nice 45-degree crease. Trying to make sure that these two edges line up to come to a nice point. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with this edge and this edge, creating the standard X crease for our water bomb base. And again, making sure these two edges line up, coming to a nice point here. Now, if you're experienced with water bomb bases, go ahead and collapse that into the water bomb base. But if this is new to you, you may want to turn the bill over and kind of give that point a little pop so that you can fold this backwards. You're going to put a crease right through this point parallel with this edge. And you're going to do that by folding this edge right here this way so that it lines up with where your creases meet the side of the bill, and your fold will go right through this center point. Making sure your edges line up nicely, and you can also use the crease lines to help you line up your fold as well. Okay, from there we're just going to go ahead and fold this into a nice water bomb, nicely creasing all of our folds. Okay, from here we're going to take this tip and we're going to fold it straight down to this edge. So take the tip, fold it to the edge, and again you can use the creases that are in the paper already, in this case this centerline crease, and you'll have a centerline crease here, and you can use those to line up and make sure that this is a straight fold. Go ahead and open that up, and you're going to use that crease that you just created to fold this up, and as you fold this up you're going to take this edge and this edge, and they're going to line up right along the center. So as you fold up, they'll naturally kind of want to come in, so you can go ahead and encourage them to do so, coming in so that this edge meets the center line, and the same with the other side. And you'll put a new crease here to follow these edges, and so this will come to a point. So as this folds in, you can see how that happens. So you're just going to fold this up on this crease that we created in the previous step, folding these edges in, and you want to make sure that this lines up neatly with this edge, and this edge here lines up with this center line. Same with the other side. So as they come in, and you squeeze down your creases, it should come to a nice point. Like that. And now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your model over and you're going to fold this edge up to this crease that you had made 2 steps ago. Go ahead and fold this up to that crease, again using your crease lines to make sure that your fold is straight. That's always just a good practice anytime you're folding at regular angles, is usually you'll have a crease that lines up with another part of the paper, and you can really use that to line up your folds and make sure they're good. And now what you have is you have kind of 2 points here, and what you're going to do is you're going to take this one and you're going to fold it down over the flap that you just folded up. So now you should be looking at a diamond on top of this flap. Now you're going to take this point here and you're going to fold it to this center crease. Once again, you can use this center crease that runs through your model to help line up this fold. So this point is going to go to this crease. Give that a nice creasing. Okay, and now what you're going to do to make it a little bit easier for the next step is actually unfold that, fold this back up, and now what you're going to do is you're going to fold this tip down to this point on this same crease that you made. So you're basically just inverting that crease, making sure it folds nicely both mountain and valley. So it's sometimes a little difficult to get it several layers of paper to invert a crease, but I think it makes the next step a little bit easier. So now you have this tip of the triangle that can fold back and forth a little easier. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take this triangle and you're going to stick it up at a 90-degree angle like this. Okay? And you're going to separate the 2 sides and do the same thing on the other side. So what you're going to start to do is, as you separate those with your fingers, you work these in, you're going to want to push down on this, and it's not going to want to do it sometimes. And so as you open this up, you're going to want to start working this point down. It's a little difficult to show. It's something that you kind of just need to work through. And so as you start working that open, you're going to want to flatten this on those creases that you made when you folded that tip down. Now, it's not always going to want to play nice, and it's going to start getting a little messy. So what you can do, this gets a little tricky, you just have to remember where you're at, is if you open up this model, you just go ahead and grab these flaps and open up the model. Just grab these 2 for now. Kind of open this up, and you'll see how it kind of opens up. And this area right here is where we are working with, and we want it to fold nicely on this crease here. Now with it opened like this, we can kind of push this down and work our way around, making those creases a little bit nicer. So this just takes a little bit of deft touch. Get all those points in. Okay, so now when you have that creased a little bit nicer, it's going to want to start and kind of collapse in that. That's okay for now, because what you're going to do is as you collapse this, and you can see it's starting to sink in on itself, don't push it in all the way. Then as you pull this lip down, you can flatten this, and that's what you wind up with. Okay, I'm going to go through that particular move once again a little bit quicker, but so you can see what happened. Okay, so we had this, we folded this up, and we folded this down, and we took this tip and we folded it up to the center line. And what I had you guys do is open that up and fold it back down to that same line so that you had a much better crease. And if you really want to work that and give that crease a little bit better, that might be helpful. And then what you're going to do is open these sides, sort of start working them apart, and sometimes it helps to actually push on the back of the model as you're doing that, and that can help it open up. And if you're lucky, it will get pretty close to what you're trying to get. If not, again, you can pull these open, and that will open up the model like this, and you can then work these creases by pinching it in like this to help make those creases more defined. And then as you push the model back together, it's going to want to kind of fold in on itself like that, pull down, and flatten these out. And that's what you'll have. And then from there, we go ahead and turn the model over, and we're going to fold this folded edge up to this point here. Just go ahead and fold that up, get a nice crease. And then from there, we're going to fold this folded edge down a undefined amount. This is actually going to form the lip, the edge of the front of your sleigh. So that's really up to you how much you want to do that. I like to make it a noticeable amount, maybe like a third. Again, this is totally to your taste. If you want to put a hitch on it, like I'll show you later, it's helpful to have this be a little bit on the larger side than on the slimmer side. Okay, and now that we have that done, what we're going to do is you have creases here and here, the quarter creases that you've already put. Right now is a good time to kind of remind the paper that you have a crease there, because you have several layers here. So just go ahead and fold those back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this corner and we're going to fold it up alongside that crease we just reinforced. And so this is just going to come up and make a crease like that. Now this kind of lip that you folded over, as you do that, do this corner fold here, it may want to not follow that crease, which is fine. It doesn't need to follow it. So you can ignore whatever it wants to do. And unfold that, and then again do the same thing on this side. Here's that crease that we reinforced. We're taking this folded edge, the one away from the point, and folding that up to that crease. And again, unfolding that. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to fold these back on that crease that we reinforced, so that that part that we sunk in here, that's on the back. And so we fold these corners up like this, and we fold these corners up like this. Go ahead and unfold those, and we fold them back. And now what you do here is you kind of hold the model here and pinch so you're not holding these flaps here. Okay, you're just holding it right there. What you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you're going to see it's going to pop out and create the front of your sled. So that's how it pops out, and you're going to give these folds a nice flattening. Okay, I like to give the front of my sleigh a little bit of a point, but we can work on finishing the sleigh model a little bit later. Okay, now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to pop out the back of the sleigh. And so I'm just going to take this first layer and push this up to make the model 3D. Go ahead and push. I like to kind of fold these in a little bit to encourage it to be more box shaped. And that's the start of the back of the sleigh. And what you can do then is just take this lip here and fold that up. I tend to like to fold it all the way down like that to really encourage that fold to stay put. And then the next couple folds are not difficult in themselves, but they become difficult because you're folding it on a model that is 3D. You can't set it down and push down on the folds. So you're just going to take this edge and you're going to fold it to this edge. So that's your model. And so you really have to get your fingers on the bottom of the model to support it as you fold what will be the skid in half. And again, you're going to do that same thing on the other side, folding that in half. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that edge and fold it back down to this folded edge. And that gets kind of tricky on a dollar bill because it's a little smaller. And so you're just going to take this and fold it to that folded edge. Like that. And then you're just going to open it up at a 90-degree angle, and that will become the skids on your sleigh. And you can, adjust it how you want. You can pull it out, make it a little bit more dimensional if you want. So go ahead and you're going to put this at a 90-degree angle. Pull them out a little bit if you want. And you can adjust those as you see how well your sleigh sits. What you do with this is just your taste, whether you like it flattened up, maybe you might like it hanging out a little bit. That's totally up to you. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take this side part of the front edge of the sleigh and you're going to fold it from this point here to this edge here on the side right there. And so depending upon how much of a lip you made will determine how much of an angle this really is. But pretty much no matter what you do, you're going to find that it's going to hit the bottom of the sleigh. It won't let you fold it all the way over, and that's okay. What you're going to do as you're folding it down, you're going to kind of pull and tuck that in, and then as you close it back, you can squeeze that fold flat. And so now you have an edge to the front of your sleigh. So again, you're going to do the same thing on this side, where you're going to go from this point here, this corner here, up to this corner here, and you're going to make a fold right along there. Folding it back, and of course, as I do that, it hits the bottom of the sleigh. So I pull this out a little bit and tuck it in and then squeeze it closed. Of course, as you're doing that, you might kind of ruffle up the back. That's fine. Just go ahead and pop it back in place. That's no big deal. Now this next part is not really a fold. It gets a little tricky. It helps if you kind of wet your fingers a little bit, because you're going to take this corner and you're going to roll it. And this, again, this is totally up to you how you want it to look. So as you roll that edge, and the other thing this does here is it helps keep this back seat rigid. You'll notice that as it was happening, this sort of is doing its own thing. Go ahead and fold that back into a square shape and give this kind of a roll. And again, this is totally up to your how you want it to look. Give a nice roll to the sleigh. And then what's left really is just to decide kind of how you want the sleigh to look. You want to maybe give the back seat a little bit of a lip as well. That's sometimes kind of nice. So you get the idea of how you can kind of shape the sleigh. And now sometimes what happens is, depending upon a few of the things you did, the sleigh won't stay flat. It will fall forward a little bit. If that happens, what you can do is you can take a penny, and if you look at the bottom and you pull this flap back, there's a little pocket right here that you can slide a penny. Go ahead and close that back up, and that will keep your sleigh very, very stable. Now let me show you how to make a little hitch that you can put on the front of your sleigh so you can attach it to something or just make it look like it has a hitch on it. What I've done is I take a little bit of red florist wire. I take out a length of wire, cut it, careful, cut wire is very sharp. Kind of straighten it out as much as you can. What I'm going to do is put a loop in it. It's going to be the hitch. Okay, now I have a loop in my wire. And what we want to do is put a 90-degree bend in this wire. So here's how I'm going to do that. Is I'm going to hold this about here, and then I'm just going to take another pair of pliers and give it a bend. So now our hitch has a 90-degree bend. I hope you can see what I did. And then the reason, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take the wire, so the 90-degree bend makes the loop point out. Because what you're going to do is you're going to take your sleigh and you're going to unfold these corner pieces like this, kind of open it up flat, like so that this front is flat, and you're going to open up this lip that you made. You're going to take your hitch and you're going to put it under, and you fold the lip down until it meets. So now that 90-degree angle puts that hitch out. Go ahead and push these up so that they're underneath the lip. It takes a little bit of finagling to make it do what you want it to do, but this will get you the general idea. And then what you're going to do is fold this back on the normal crease, and of course the wire is going to make holding that crease very easy. Alright, And this is when I like to come and I cut the wire right at the edge of the paper. Okay. And now I fold the corners down. And again, it'll be a little bit tricky with the wire, but tucking that in. But again, once you make the fold, the wire is going to hold it in nice and tight. Just go ahead and fold this down. And now, oh, and I like to give my sleigh a little bit of a kind of a point going on there. Let me roll the back of the back seat a little bit and give that a little bit of a flare. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. And now you have a hitch that you can attach things to, however you want to do it. So enjoy the sleigh.